you. Let's start with Bill on this question. How can we reinvigorate BPOUs without a lot of central coordination that will look like another top-down approach?
It's a very good question. And I think it fundamentally comes back to having a party that's driven from the bottom up. If we are going to be outward facing to Minnesotans, they have to know when they come to the party to help our party that their voice is going to matter, that their voice is going to be heard. And so I think it is important for the chair, who is one of your 3 representatives on the RNC, to be a voice against efforts to impose a top-down power structure and command and control from DC that would restrict parties from setting up presidential debates, that would try to move the party towards a national primary, contrary to what grassroots Minnesotans may want. So it is important for the chairman to be a voice out there, advocate for the grassroots, so that when we go and ask them to be the face that goes out to talk and to be our face to Minnesota voters, that they know when they come back into the party that their voice is going to matter at the top of the RNC and the top of our state party.
Let me try and describe very quickly, if I can, an overriding, I'll say, kind of management philosophy that I would bring to this position. And that is, if you can articulate and agree upon an overall vision and what you're trying to accomplish, the mission that you've got, and you can point people to that. And I think we have the structures in the GOP right now to do that. And you set up the guardrails. The platform is a guardrail. I think the standard of excellence and integrity is a guardrail. And then you equip the people in your organization, in your enterprise, with the tools, and let them go. And let them do whatever they can do creatively with those tools and those capabilities. Stay within the guardrails and shoot for the mission. Guess what? You're going to accomplish hundreds of times more than if you tried to actually direct this. So you got to have a common mission and a common sense of where you're going. You got to have some guardrails, and then you equip these people with the tools and you let them go. And Bill likes talking about that as a grassroots bottom-up. I'm not sure. I think it's an equipping of everybody in the enterprise and giving them the tools to go out and do the job towards the shared mission that we have.
With all due respect, I have to say I've been active in the structure of the Republican Party as a volunteer leader for a long time. Keith and Bill have not. That's not a criticism. They're fine people. But frankly, you learn a lot when you accomplish these things, accomplish things in the grassroots. I've been a BPOU chair, I've been a vice chair of BPOUs a dozen times, I suppose. I've been the CD chair 4 times. The way to do this is the way I mentioned earlier in my introduction. You get grassroots funding going, use that money to hire a field person to work within the CD, who will help 90% of their time help the BPOUs to build up their structure. By that I mean training for recruiting. And by the way, the most important skill that a volunteer can have is recruiting other volunteers. That is so essential, most people don't even know it. You've got to have voter ID and many other things, but the key is to have the BPOUs hire a field staff that will help them.
Reads 70% of Minnesotans get all and most of their news from biased TV or newspaper sources. How can you help us get our message out over that filter? And I'll give you an example of what they're talking about. So right now, the Republican Party, if you look at the media, is dysfunctional. We have libertarians, we have social conservatives, etc. But now, if this same sort of thing were happening in the Democratic Party, they would be diverse, which is obviously more acceptable. Okay, so how do we break through that filter and talk to those folks? We'll start with Bonn.
Hubert Humphrey said many years ago that the Democratic Party, or leading the Democratic Party, is like herding cats. Just one big fight after the other. But later, he says, there are always more cats. Well, that's a good way to look at, although I suppose there could be a more, a simpler way of looking at it. That's a good way of looking at our coalition. We have 15 to 20, 30 different kinds of coalitions of conservatives in the Republican Party. They come together in the platform. They come together in endorsing. They come together in campaigns. We have an amazing coalition. It's just the media that doesn't know it. Somehow we have to let people know. I hope that's not a top-down thing. We have a lot of decentralized media, so we should start with the BPOUs on that too, I suppose.
Well, number one, we got to quit confirming some of their biases, and I think a standard of excellence in how we run at the state party would be a beginning point for me. So that the appropriate accounting controls and all just the nuts and bolts of running an organization in a big enterprise like this would be number one. We can't give them more fodder than they deserve. And I agree with Bonn. There's nothing unique about the Republican Party and the degree to which we're factionalized. This stuff happens all the time, right? But there's a process that we follow. It's in debate and in endorsement and even primary battles. And then we got to come together to win in November. So those are a couple of baselines. With regard to how do we, quote unquote, get around the media, well, number one, I think we should be more effective with them and not disrespect them. Number two, I've got a model for an overall communication plan, and I'm telling you, we have massively under-executed in our communication plan. We've got traditional media, we've got new online social media, we've got our BPOUs and our CDs, we've got other coalition groups, we have new groups of voters. We have all of these channels, and they are getting information through all kinds of different channels, so we have got to execute, and we've got to put our information and our ideas out through all those channels, to all those end-user groups.
Yeah, so I think Senator Rand Paul showed a good example of how you can get your message out past the media filter. You know, that you have to take a clear, consistent approach. They're going to be the party that stands for constitutional rights and stands for individual liberty, and not waver from standing for that, and even under the face of criticism from within your own party. I do appreciate the need for us to be united and working going out to Minnesotans. As Keith says, we also have to recognize there are differences of opinion, and our party will continue to grow by being able to appreciate those differences. And when someone like Senator Paul, goes out there and is criticized by others in his own party for standing for individual liberty, we need to work with them so that we can stand for a consistent message and protect our party's brand as the party of individual liberty. And it also comes back to building up a grassroots party. Fundamentally, we need to have grassroots activists on the ground who are every day presenting our message and our brand to the people that they know.